What's going on, guys? UFC 311 just wrapped up last night. Today we're going to be going over the whole card, breaking down each fight. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. I predicted Tagir to win a unanimous decision, and Tagir gets it done by unanimous decision. This was just the next step up for Clayton Carpenter. He loses his zero. Respectfully, definitely a tough opponent to go against, especially when you know you're a newcomer. Going from Lucas Rocha to Tagir Ulanbekov is a big jump up in competition. And yeah, man, he was just outskilled everywhere. He just lacked the experience. Got out controlled, outstriked, everything. I mean, Tagir, he's a tall, rangy striker at flyweight who can also wrestle at a very high level. Very tricky for anyone to deal with. Fucking Tim Elliott had to cheat to beat him. We're not even gonna get into that, but yeah, man. I mean, Clayton Carpenter didn't look terrible. I think he sharpened some stuff up. He could definitely be pretty good. I think he could maybe be ranked. He definitely has that type of potential, but he does lose his zero. Speaking of losing the zero, every single undefeated fighter in 2025 so far has lost. So Ilya Taporia, watch out, man. Diego Lopez might take your zero. But nah, honestly, decent fight, some good grappling exchanges, but Tagir just showed that he has more experience in the game and he's just better. Yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Ricky Turcios versus Bernardo Sopai. I got this one right on the money, 30-27 decision for Sopai. Honestly, man, Turcios is just not a good fighter, man. Turcios just kind of sucks. He's got good output, and that's about it. He's durable and good output, and that's about it. He's not good at striking, not good at grappling. His fight IQ is pretty low. His stamina is not the greatest, but honestly, man, like, props for the toughness. He got dropped in the second round. His face was getting beaten up. He was all bloody, but he stayed with it. He didn't get finished, so good shit, man. Especially from Sopai, who has pretty heavy hands from what I've seen so far, and pretty good, man. But yeah, Sopai outstruck him, outcontrolled him, literally just beat him on every single stat, and got the decision win. Not really much to talk about. Decent fight, pretty fun. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafurov. Man, oh man. Rinya Nakamura with the biggest fraud check so far of 2025. Debatable. There's a few other bad ones, but the way this one happened, it's because Rinya could have won the fight. That's what pisses me off about this. Rinya literally could have won this. But he decides, as an elite Olympic level, like, god tier wrestler, this guy might be the best wrestler in the division. Arguably. Like, just pure straight up wrestling, he might be one of the best in the division. He shoots one half-assed, lazy, barely puts any effort in takedown, and doesn't get it, and then just gives up. No more takedowns in the third round. Didn't shoot at all in the first two rounds. Just purely striked with a striker in Muin Gafurov. Why? You took the hardest game plan against a pretty good striker. Rinya, your striking defense is bad. You do not have crazy one-shot KO power to put anybody away. Like, come on, you don't need to always get a highlight KO. Showcase your high-level wrestling, take this guy down, dominate him on the ground, and win the fight. Kyung Ho Kong took down Muin Gafurov 3 times and controlled him for 5 minutes. You telling me Rinya Nakamura doesn't do that? No, because he fought the worst game plan. That was the lowest IQ moment I've ever seen in my life. I talked about in my prediction video, I see holes in Rinya Nakamura's game. I smell a fraud check coming very soon. I didn't expect it to be in this fight to Muin Gafurov. I thought he was going to wrestle. If he would have wrestled, he would have won. That's just how it is. If he would have wrestled if he would have wrestled Muin Gafurov, he would have won. But no, he decided to just strike with Muin Gafurov and get pieced up and dropped at 30-27 and schooled and embarrassed. Embarrassing performance from Rinya Nakamura. Fight IQ might be his biggest hole in his game. I was talking about holes in his game. I was talking about, I see problems in this guy's fighting ability. Fight IQ might be the biggest problem he has. Because that was low IQ, man. Rinya, come on. Takedowns. You were an elite level wrestler. Use your takedowns. Use your wrestling. Use what you've been done. Use your skills that you've been sharpening your whole life. You've been wrestling since you were a toddler. Use those skills. Do not strike with a striker. Oh my god, dude. What was he respecting from Muin Gafurov? Was he scared of getting submitted by taking him down? Muin Gafurov's not a submission threat. Was he scared of fucking Was he like respecting the takedown defense? Muin Gafurov got taken down 3 times by Kyung Ho Kong. Rinya, you're telling me you couldn't take him down? You're telling me Kyung Ho Kong is a better wrestler than you? Is that what you're saying to me? Like, holy shit, man. Whatever. Fun fight. Muin Gafurov pieced him up. He's actually a decent striker, to be fair. He's a pretty good striker, but not a very difficult like fighter like overall to beat. Rinya Nakamura had the perfect game plan laid out and just didn't follow it and followed the worst game plan and decided to strike with him. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Let's move on to the next fight. Carol Rosa versus Eileen Perez. I got this one right on the money. Eileen Perez wins a 29-28 unanimous decision, and she followed the perfect game plan like I said she would. Went out there, pushed a pace, got the takedowns, and just controlled her and controlled the pace of the fight pretty much the whole time. Rosa is just too slow of a starter, man, and you just can't do that against Eileen Perez. This was a pretty clear underdog pick, in my opinion. If you know styles, then you could look at these two and go, yeah, Eileen Perez's pressure and pace is going to be too much. Rosa is a slow starter, and yeah, man, she just doesn't get any output going until later on, and it just wasn't enough against Eileen Perez, who is always pushing the pace. So yeah, decent fight. Let's move on to the next one. Grant Dawson versus Diego Fajeda. I went with Diego Fajeda by decision. Grant Dawson ends up getting the decision. I knew this was going to be a close fight. I didn't really know who to go with, but I decided to go with Fajeda as an underdog. Thought he was going to do a lot more damage with the striking, but Dawson just took him down with ease. I said he was going to do that. I said Dawson would get Fajeda down pretty comfortably, but I thought Fajeda would be able to scramble out of some stuff, and I didn't think he'd get controlled for 10 whole minutes. I didn't expect that. I knew he was going to get controlled, but I didn't know he was going to get controlled for like majority of the fight. But yeah, man, Fajeda, he didn't look terrible, but yeah, Dawson just controlled the pace the whole time, got him down. He went 6 for 11, so Fajeda did defend a few takedowns, but Dawson was able to get him down where it mattered, and a lot of good strikes from Dawson, 195 to 84 on the striking numbers, so big stuff for Dawson. He's becoming a lot more entertaining as of recent. He used to be very boring, just kind of smudge people, but now he's implementing the ground and pound. He's striking more on the feet. He looks more comfortable on the feet. His defense looked a lot better. Ever since he got KO'd by Bobby Green, his defense has looked a lot better. And his defense, honestly, it was a little tricky for Fajeda. Fajeda was having trouble finding the chin, and he just couldn't really get his hands going and couldn't really do that much damage. So, yeah, man, good win for Grant Dawson. I'm interested to see where he goes next. Honestly, ranked opponent next, man. Diego Fajeda is one of the best unranked fighters. Literally, like in his last fight, he fraud checked Mateusz Rebecki, beat him up, and finished him. So, a win against Diego Fajeda, especially at 30-27, when you outstrike and out control him, that's pretty good, man. That's an impressive win. I'd like to see Grant Dawson in the rankings. Maybe do him versus Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush wasn't able to fight Moicano on this card because some stuff happened with Armin. Moicano had to step up. So maybe Beneil Dariush, don't waste his training camp. Grant Dawson didn't really take much damage in there. Get Grant Dawson versus Beneil Dariush in there. That could be sick. The anti-grappling of Beneil Dariush and the wrestling pressure of Grant Dawson, it could be like a Mateusz Gamrot versus Beneil Dariush situation all over again. But could be time for Grant Dawson to prove his grappling is seriously that elite. If he can out-grapple Beneil Dariush and win with grappling, that would be extremely impressive. I'm not sure if he would. Honestly, I think he'd have more of a chance of finishing Beneil than just out-grappling him. Beneil's defensive grappling is amazing, but yeah, man, great win for Grant Dawson. Let's move on to the next fight. Bogdan Gushkov versus Billy Elikana. This was a bit of a strange fight. First round, Elikana goes out there, takes Gushkov down, and gets his back, and pretty much has control of him the whole round. Pretty close first round. Not much happened. It was pretty much just Elikana controlling the back of Bogdan Gushkov. Second round comes up. Gushkov starts landing some good shots on Elikana. Gushkov's defense scares me. He's got to get chinned. He just started walking forward with his hands completely down. Just fully disregarding the counter strikes of Billy Elikana. Walked him down, hurt him. Elikana goes down and just stays on his knees with his hands up, but doesn't actually attempt to get back up to his feet. He just kind of stays there and does a motion with his hands telling him to come here. And Bogdan's just hitting him. And then Bogdan just puts him in a weird guillotine, and Elikana just accepts it and gets submitted. I don't know, it was weird. If you guys didn't watch the fight, go back and watch it. I don't know, it was a little weird, but Yeah, man, I don't know. Gushkov is a bit of a strange fighter. I'm scared of his defense. I am. I'm afraid he's going to get chinned. I really like Bogdan Gushkov. I do think he would have smoked Johnny Walker and KO'd him, but I am scared for Bogdan Gushkov. Got his back taken by Billy Elikana, which, I mean, that's not the worst look, but I don't know. It looked like Elikana just gave up. I'm not going to lie to you. He kind of just stayed on his knees and accepted the guillotine from Gushkov. But yeah, weird fight. I don't know. Good win for Gushkov. Let's move on to the next fight. Zachary Reese versus Azamat Bakoev. I predicted a first round TKO for Reese, and Bakoev ends up getting the first round TKO. Reese was landing some good shots at the beginning. He landed a big head kick, which landed on the guard of Bakoev, but it did still kind of rock him a bit. But other than that, man, I don't know. Reese got taken down. He tried to throw up like some armbar submission off his back, and then eventually Bakoev just found the ground and pound shot, hit him with like 2 or 3 ground and pounds, and Reese was out cold. So I mean, Reese has no fucking chin. I'm gonna be honest with you. Slam KO'd by Cody Brundage and 2 to 3 ground and pound shots from this short notice nobody from the LFA, and he's out cold. Like, yeah, man, Reese is what you call a glass cannon, man. Very dangerous, but also very open to being finished himself. Honestly, I don't know, man. Reese, he has UFC level experience. He has a size advantage, and he's has a full camp. And Bakoev was on like less than a week's notice, so I thought this was an easy underdog pick for Zach Reese, but I guess Zach Reese is mid and has no chin. So yeah, good win for Bakoev. I'm not too sure what you do with him next. I don't like Bakoev, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. He actually just pisses me off. He has no aura. Like, look at the fucking guy. He got aura mogged by Zach Reese. Like, come on, little bro. Like, he looks like a Russian Tommy Fury. Like, he actually just like the way he like looks and is built just pisses me off. Like, there's no way Azamat Bakoev will ever be in the middleweight rankings. Like, feed this guy to fucking Roman Dolidze or something, or like Jack Hermanson. I think they would both beat this guy. But yeah, man, good win for Bakoev. Let's move on to the next fight. This one hurt a bit. This was the most painful fraud check of the night. Peyton Talbot versus Raoni Barcelos. Raoni Barcelos gets a grappling 30-27 decision. Just grapple fucks Peyton Talbot. 8 for 15 on takedowns. 10 minutes of control time almost. And man, Peyton Talbot genuinely has zero takedown defense. It's like he didn't even try to defend the takedowns. He just like Raoni Barcelos was tired and was still just throwing himself at Talbot's legs and getting the takedown. Like, man, Talbot, go to Dagestan, bro. Like, genuinely. And even on the feet, Barcelos was landing good on the feet, man. Like, Talbot was winning on the feet, but, like, it was very close. And, like, Barcelos was just completely out-grappling him. Like, Unk, come on, man. You're 38 years old and you're still trying to win fights. Like, you're not getting a title shot, big bro. You're an Unk. You're 40. Like, just, come on. Be a fun fighter, at least. That probably sounds like the most cope thing of all time, but like seriously, like he's an unk. He's 40 years old. Why are you still trying to win fights? You're not going to hit the rankings. You're not getting a title shot. You already got flatlined by Umar. Like I don't know why you didn't just strike with Talbot and make it fun. I'm joking, obviously, but not really, because I don't know why old fighters actually try to win fights. Just be fun so that people like you. But yeah, man, Talbot, big fraud check, man. Honestly, if he can improve his grappling, especially the grappling defense, I actually think he will come back really strong. The UFC's definitely giving him a striker next. I think they're going to keep him away from grapplers for now, which is probably for the best. This is definitely a big learning curve for Peyton Talbot. He's definitely going to go and work on his takedown defense, at least I hope. If he doesn't, then Peyton Talbot's just stupid. But yeah, man, good win for Raoni Barcelos. I think this was the biggest underdog win of the card, the biggest upset. But yeah, man. Anybody who bet on Raoni Barcelos is rich now. I don't actually think anybody bet on Raoni Barcelos, because if you did, you're stupid. But yeah, Peyton Talbot, fraud check. I'm sure he'll come back, though. He's really good. He's still a really good striker. But yeah, Raoni Barcelos gets it done. Let's move on to the next fight. Kevin Holland versus Reinier de Ridder. I don't know why I switched to Kevin Holland last minute. That was a dumb pick. I should have just stuck with Reinier de Ridder like I was originally going to do, but I went back one day before the fights and watched some Kevin Holland tape. I watched this fight with Gerald Mearshart, and he looked a little bit impressive in the grappling, so I thought, you know what? Reinier de Ridder's sloppy. He looked competitive with Gerald Mearshart. I'm sure Holland will be able to scramble out of some stuff. Nope. Reinier de Ridder just gets him down, chokes him out in the first round, and Holland didn't even look like he tried to win. And this is what I mean about Holland. When you're picking a Kevin Holland fight, you're not picking him based on, is he better than his opponent? Is he worse than his opponent? How are the styles going to match up? You're picking him based on, is he going to try to win? Because realistically, Kevin Holland is a stylistic matchup that would be hard for anybody. He's a tall, rangy, quick, dangerous striker with good grappling and like a dangerous submission game. When he tries, he's hard for everybody. But like he just doesn't try most of the time. He just gives up. Like Holland, man. I don't think I'm going to be picking Kevin Holland in any more fights unless he fights like a CAD or like a very favorable matchup. Like I don't know, man. Holland just pisses me off sometimes. Like he's still one of my favorite fighters, but come on, man. Like you got to lock in. Like apparently he said he wants to fight 6 times this year. Bro's about to go fucking 5-1. Like he's already starting out 0-1 in 2025. Like come on, man. Hopefully Kevin Holland gets some wins this year. I like Kevin Holland, but man, like it really just pisses me off when it looks like he doesn't even try to win. But yeah, man, good win for Reinier de Ridder. Submitting Kevin Holland is a difficult task. The third person in his career to do it. And yeah, man, good win for Reinier de Ridder. Let's move on to the next fight. Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. I picked Jailton Almeida by second round submission. Jailton Almeida gets it done by first round TKO. We're going to talk about the stoppage in a minute, but real quick, shout out to Sergey Spivak, man. He looked good, got a takedown, had 2 minutes of control time, actually out-controlled Jailton Almeida, who only had 1 minute and 48 seconds. So yeah, good shit for Sergey, man. He hit a reversal. He looked nice, man, but at the end of the day, Almeida's too strong for these other heavyweights on the ground. He's too dominant. He's too good of a grappler. He just, man, once he got on top of Sergey Spivak, he just started raining down ground and pound. And, I thought Sergey was going to survive at first. They get back up, and Almeida lands a clean shot on the feet against Spivak and hurts him. He rocks Spivak bad. He chases Spivak down, lands a couple good shots. They end up on the ground again, and then it just leads to Jailton Almeida on the ground and pounding Spivak to a TKO. Let's talk about the stoppage now. Early stoppage, 100%. There was like 5 seconds left. Almeida just started ground and pounding Sergey Spivak, and the shots were landing like on his glove. Like literally 3 shots to the glove with 5 seconds left. And the ref calls it. Like Spivak would have been okay if you just let him ride out those last 5 seconds. Like, I don't know. Almeida probably would have won anyways, but man, still man, like these refs sometimes they have bad stoppages, but good win for Almeida anyways. He was probably going to beat Spivak no matter what. So yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. Absolute banger of a matchup. Man, Yuri Prochazka gets it done by third round TKO, just like I said. Nothing Hill had was a problem for Yuri. Yuri just walked forward, walked through everything Hill had, and just broke him and TKO'd him in the third round. Dropped Hill twice. Man, Yuri just put on a sick performance. He was slipping punches, he was countering. His defense looks better, so that's something to really look at. And man, I don't know where Hill goes from here. Like, he really just got cooked by Yuri. I'm not even going to lie to you. But yeah, great performance from Yuri Prochazka. Man, this card was really good, man. I'm not going to lie to you. This was one of the best fights I've ever seen. It was a bit one-sided, though, so I don't know. Probably not going to end up being fight of the year. If it was more, back and forth, then yeah. But it was very one-sided. Yuri won the first round pretty comfortably. Second round, back and forth, but I still give it to Yuri. And then third round, Yuri just gets the finish and breaks Jamal Hill. I said it. Jamal Hill's power is overrated. He does not hit that hard. His footwork is bad. He kind of swings like these sloppy punches, and his defense is kind of mid. And he does not have the leg kicks of Alexander Rakic or Alex Pereira to like really keep Yuri back from just blitzing forward. Yeah, man, just bad stylistic matchup for Jamal Hill. Like Jamal Hill he looked helpless in there, man. Yuri just broke him. Broke his spirit. I'm excited to see what Hill's excuse is. He's probably going to say he beats Yuri 9 out of 10 times. And yeah. But all in all, great win for Yuri Prochazka. Man, I'm so happy Yuri won, bro. This was the highlight of the card for me. After the Peyton Talbot fraud check, the Rinya Nakamura fraud check, and actually, I don't know. The Rinya Nakamura fraud check didn't really hurt that bad. I don't really care for Rinya Nakamura that much, but after the Peyton Talbot fraud check, man, I needed Yuri to get this win here. If Yuri would have lost, I would have actually crashed out. But great win for Yuri Prochazka. Let's move on to the co-main event next. Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab just EPO cardio maxed his way through Umar, took his undefeated record. First 2 rounds for Umar was looking good. He was doing good. He was landing a lot of good shots on Merab, and Merab just couldn't take him down. Umar was just looking too good. He was looking fresh. Third round, I personally gave to Umar. I'm going to have to rewatch that fight, but at the time I was watching it, I gave the third round to Umar. I don't know, but Merab definitely won round 4 and 5. Umar was gassed. Merab's pace and pressure is just too much for anybody in the division. I don't think anybody beats him, and I'm going to be honest. I don't think anybody at bantamweight can beat Merab Dvalishvili. I think the only way he loses is if he goes up to featherweight, and maybe one of those guys can figure out Merab. Honestly, I don't know if it's possible to beat Merab by decision. Like, his pace and cardio is too much. He puts on too much pressure on his opponents. Like, the only way I think he can lose is like if someone finishes him. But like, man, it's so obvious that he's on EPO. But like, I love Merab, so I don't really care. He's a fun personality. And also, on that note, this was a fun fight. This was the first fun Merab fight. Like, this was a sick fight. It was a back and forth war. Both fighters landed good shots on the feet. Both grappled each other. But man, like Merab's pace and pressure, it's actually wild. I've never seen Umar tired like that, and Umar was exhausted fighting at Merab's pace. It's too much for anybody. Like if Umar can't fight at that pace, nobody can. I don't think anybody is going to beat Merab at this weight class. Like I don't know, man. I still think if Umar and Merab run it back, it is going to be a competitive, close fight. Apparently Umar broke his hand in the first round. At first, I was like, yeah, cope. He's just yapping. But then a picture of Umar's hand came out after the fight. It actually does look like he broke his hand, so maybe they run back a rematch. Maybe Umar can get it done. But man, I don't know, man. Merab's cardio just looked absolutely elite. Absolutely elite cardio for Merab Dvalishvili. And honestly, man, like, I don't know. The only way I think he loses is if he gets chinned up at featherweight, because I don't think any bantamweight beats him. Maybe O'Malley catches him, but man, O'Malley wasn't even really close to catching him in their fight. So I don't know. But yeah, man, great win for Merab, the EPO maxer. And listen, he's the greatest bantamweight of all time. I don't care. Say what you want about fucking Dominic Cruz. Merab Dvalishvili, like, is the greatest bantamweight of all time. Look at his resume. Umar Nurmagomedov, undefeated 18-0, took his O and beat one of the Nurmagomedovs. Sean O'Malley, right before that, former champion. Henry Cejudo, right before that, former champion. Peter Yan, right before that, former champion. Jose Aldo, right before that, former champion. This guy has 4 wins over former champions, a win over an 18-0 Umar Nurmagomedov, and then some other good wins like Marlon Moraes. Brad Katona's a decent win. Like, he's the greatest bantamweight of all time resume-wise. If he racks up a couple more title defenses, like, everyone's cooked. Like, everyone in this division's cooked. That's all I'm trying to say. Everyone in this division's cooked. He's going to cook everybody. He fights at too high of a pace, and he fights with too much pressure. The only way to beat Merab is to finish him. I don't think it's physically possible to beat Merab by a decision, because you're just going to gas out, and he's going to beat you. That's all there is. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know who beats him. Maybe Peter Yan does something different in the rematch. Maybe Figgy would be a tough matchup for him, but Figgy just lost to Yan, so I don't know. I don't know, man, but all in all, great win for Merab. Gassed out Umar, just put the pressure on him and tired out Umar, which was very surprising. I didn't think Umar was going to gas out that heavily. But yeah, man, great win for Merab. Let's move on to the main event next. Islam Makhachev sexually assaults Renato Moicano in round 1. This was to be expected. I thought Moicano was going to put up a little bit more of a fight, but not surprised that this is what happened. I thought Moicano dropped him, but no, it was just a slip. The punch landed on Islam's arm. But yeah, I got really hyped when that happened, I'm not going to lie, because I actually thought he dropped Islam, that would have been a bad look, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I mean, Islam, man, he gets Moicano down to the ground. Moicano gives up his neck, and Islam just wraps up the Darce choke, and it's night-night. He taps almost immediately. It's like Islam's chokes are so strong. Like, it's insane how fast his opponents tap. Same with Hamzat Chimaev. But, like, I feel like Islam makes them tap even faster for some reason. I don't know. But, like, there's something about this guy's ground game. And, like, that's against Renato Moicano, who, like, I know it was on one day's notice, but, like, still, a full training camp for another guy who has really good grappling and stuff. And he's already been training southpaw. He's already been training all that. He's about as ready as you could be on short notice. And Islam still made easy work of him. And Moicano's a good grappler. Like, I don't know, man. That was just easy for Islam, in my opinion. Well, not even an opinion. It's just a fact. It was easy for Islam. But yeah, man. I mean, Islam's the greatest lightweight of all time. You can't deny that now. Just broke the record for most title wins in lightweight history. He now has 5 title wins. And his resume trumps every other lightweight. Like, let's look at Khabib's top 3 wins. Dustin Poirier, I would say, is his best win. Then Conor McGregor. then Justin Gaethje. Now let's look at Islam Makhachev's top 3 wins. I'd say Alexander Volkanovski is his best win. He's beaten him twice, by the way. Charles Oliveira, his second best win. And then Poirier, his third best win. So he has two fighters on his resume that are better than Dustin Poirier, who is Khabib's best win. And he has more title wins now than Khabib. And even in like the unranked area or like the lower ranked area, like Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, the first ever Arman Sarukian win. He beat Gleison Tibau way more dominantly. Like, his resume is way better than Khabib's. He has more title wins than Khabib. He's the greatest lightweight of all time. Khabib is now second. Like, it's undeniable. And I don't think Islam should move up to welterweight now. I think he should wait and fight Arman, then move up to welterweight. I still want to see the Arman fight. I think he beats Arman. But yeah, I definitely think we should see the Arman fight before he moves up to welterweight, because if he beats Arman, that's 6 title wins. That he's the GOAT. He just is. Like, honestly, if he beats Arman, he's the greatest UFC fighter of all time. He's the GOAT of the sport if he beats Arman Sarukian. Like, maybe not. Maybe he's still like maybe he's still 2 or 3. But like, you know what? I'll say this. If he goes up to welterweight and wins the welterweight title off like Shavkat or maybe Bilal if they fight. I don't know if they'll fight though. Or like if he wins the welterweight belt, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest UFC fighter of all time. He passes Jon Jones as the greatest UFC fighter of all time. And that's just a fact. Like, you cannot argue with that. You just can't. The resume, the dominance, the title wins, and he'll be a 2-weight class champion. Like, yeah. Islam Makhachev is probably going to go down as the greatest UFC fighter of all time before he retires. But yeah, man, tough luck for Moicano. He's going to bounce back, I'm sure. He's still a really good fighter. But yeah, let's move on to the final recap. 7 for 13 on correct picks. I could definitely do better, but not terrible. I will redeem myself on the next card. Don't worry, guys. Fight of the night. I was going to go Yuri versus Hill, but it was a little too one-sided in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Merab versus Umar as fight of the night. Back and forth scrap, absolute war. Both fighters had success in both areas. Umar was winning at the beginning. Merab made a big comeback, started taunting him, and retained the bantamweight belt. Great fight, great storyline. Fight of the night in my opinion. Best finish, Islam versus Moicano. Doing that to Moicano. Who does that to Moicano? Like, come on. Like, I know Moicano was short notice, but making easy, quick work of him in the first round with a Darce choke is still very impressive. He's only been submitted once in his career, way back in the day against Brian Ortega in like 2017 when he was at featherweight. This is a new, different version of Moicano who has never been submitted, and Islam just goes out there and makes easy work of him. I know it was short notice, but like I said, he was about as prepared as you can be on short notice. Just wasn't there mentally. But yeah, that is my recap for UFC 311. I thought it was a pretty good card. There were some fun fights, some fun scraps, some good finishes. Let me know what you guys thought about the card in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.